My apologies. Always good to check your electronics before you start a meeting. Members of the public are advised that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded. The live stream recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and the Council's website. Nillumbik Council respectfully acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as the traditional owners of the country on which Nillumbik is located. We value the significance of the Wurundjeri people's history as essential to the unique character of the Shire. We pay tribute to all First Nations people living in Nillumbik, give respects to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to all First Nations people. Respect the enduring strength of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and acknowledge the ongoing impact of past traumas, injustices from colonial invasion, massacres, genocide committed against First Nations people. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people hold a deep and ongoing connection to this place. We value the distinctive place of our First Nations people in both Nillumbik and Australia's identity, from their cultural heritage, care for the land and waterways, to their ongoing contributions in many fields, including academia, arts, economics, law, sport and politics. I'd like to move on to the Good Governance Pledge, which will be read by Councillor Kate McKay.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thanks, Councillor McKay. We'll now move on to our prayer reading, and it's my pleasure to introduce Alan Grabner. Has been in the ministry of the Church, of the Living Faith Church in Greensborough since 2023, and works with Kate Clow, who cannot be here this evening. The Living Faith Church is a community of diverse people doing their best to live a life grounded in the love of Jesus and his teachings. They seek to be a positive presence in their workplace and neighbourhoods and bring hope of Christ into their real life. They are formed as a cooperation of the Uniting Church and the Church of Christ in Greensborough, with the belief that they can do more for Jesus together than they could apart. The church places high value on inclusivity, in particular any person who identifies as LGBTIQA+. Many in the church have been local residents for decades. Living Faith Church community is actively participating in the life of local community for many years and in several ways, such as mentoring the students of the local Greensborough Primary School through Kids Hope, actively supporting the Diamond Valley Food Share program, supporting prison inmates and their families, engaging in different reconciliation practices with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. So over to you, Alan. If you just press the button so it goes green, you're all over it. Thank you.
It has gone green. Thank you very much, Councillor John de Muck, for this introduction. Thank you for the invitation. We at Living Faith are pretty chuffed that we have been invited to send someone, and I was the one who has been sent. We share very many of the values that have already started to shine through in the acknowledgement of country and in your pledge to good governance, not surprisingly, I hope. So I'd like to lead you in a short prayer. Some people close their eyes when there is prayer happening. Do whatever feels right to you all. And I pray to God, the Creator, to Jesus, whom we call the Christ, and to the Spirit of light, life, and love in their community. We all live and work and play and pray here on these lands. I pray to the God of reconciliation that they would share their desire for peace with all of us. I pray to the God who welcomes everyone, that we too would be able to honour and celebrate the dignity of every single person, that we will be able to acknowledge and hear and honour the stories of life that happen here in our neighbourhoods, that we too would be able to partner as God does with us, with one another, and with those among whom we have been placed. God, I pray to you as one who brings order, who governs with kindness, with care, compassion, and delight, that some of the joy that you have in us humans would seep into what we do and how we think, so that we too might be a blessing in the decisions that are made here tonight, in the way we speak to one another, and in the way that our values shine out into the lands right around here. So may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the presence of the Spirit of goodness and light be here among all of us. Amen.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. We have no apologies or leaves of absence. We have no declarations of conflicts of interest. We'll move on to presentations. One of them will be a condolence for Diana Bassett-Smith. I'd just like to acknowledge that Joe and Rob are in the room today, her sons. My condolences to you, and I'd ask Councillor Cope to read a condolence for Diana Bassett-Smith.
We are deeply saddened to hear the passing of long-time Nillumbik resident Diana Bassett-Smith. A descendant of pioneer settlers in Diamond Creek, she resided in Eltham following her marriage to Peter Bassett-Smith. To say Diana was an active member of the community is an understatement. She was founding member of the Eltham Rural Group in 1955 and still an active member 60 years later when it was awarded the 2015 Nillumbik Community Group of the Year. Diana was a member and at times treasurer of the Eltham Auxiliary, formed to support residents of Melbourne City Mission's Judge Book Memorial Village. In 1953, Diana formed the Eltham District Horse and Pony Club, only the fourth in Victoria at the time. She was also instrumental in the formation of the Pony Club Association of Victoria. During 1964, her growing family relocated in Kangaroo Ground. In the same year, Diana was a member of the Shillinglaw Cottage Preservation Committee and initiated the campaign to raise funds for the preservation and relocation of the historic cottage. In 1967, Diana formed the Kangaroo Ground Pony Club. She was a founding member of Eltham District Historical Society and was also the first Vice President of the Kangaroo Ground Fire Brigade Auxiliary. Peter and Diana were in that fire brigade, and I remember Peter and Diana from the fire brigade being a member of the CFA Kangaroo Ground Fire Brigade, and it was my honour to meet them. Diana is remembered as an engaging, bright personality with a keen interest in local history, current affairs and nursing. Her notes about living in Eltham in the 1950s and 60s remain a significant first-hand recollection recollection of the Historical Society's collection, and she contributed regular newsletter articles including Kangaroo Ground news updates. Following the establishment of the Andrew Ross Museum in Kangaroo Ground, Diana sat on its executive committee, later board for a number of years. She contributed to its accreditation as a museum and the establishment of a coin collection. During the International Year of Volunteers in 2001, Diana received an award of her civic participation and heritage activities. She was also profiled in the Nillumbik Shire Council's Celebrating Nillumbik Women publication in 2009. Diana was an honorary life member of the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria's Limited, and in 2015 she was awarded honorary life membership of the Historical Society in recognition of her contributions, including a committee member for over 20 years. In 2020, Andrew Ross Museum implemented the Bassett Smith family storing writing competition, My Place, in partnership with the Kangaroo Ground Primary School. Diana will be remembered as a driving force behind many community groups, not least of all Eltham and Kangaroo Ground pony clubs and the Eltham District Historical Society. On behalf of Nillumbik Shire Council, we pass on our condolences to Diana's family and friends. Thank you for being here, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Councillor Cope. It's truly an amazing resume when you look at it. I think we've just scratched the surface, so well worth recognising. We'll move on to confirmation of the minutes. Could I please? Sorry, we'll move on to sporting awards. Councillor Perkins will make an award for Alice Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got an award here for Karsten Baines. Karstens, do you want to come forward? So Karstens lives in Alice Ward. Yep, come forward and I think you've probably already got the cash, hopefully. $250. You're receiving $250 for being selected to represent Australia in judo at the Malaga Junior European Cup in Spain. So when's that coming up?
That was a couple months ago.
Okay.
I went there. I didn't perform great, but it was a good experience, a little bit of training. And then I've had a couple trips since then as well into South America and a couple around Australia and Perth as well for Oceania. So that's been awesome.
Beautiful. Karstens is a member of the Yarra Judo in Eltham North, and he's also studying a Bachelor of Property and Real Estate, as well as a Bachelor of Commerce online at Deakin alongside his training. And I spoke to him, well, it's going to take about 6 years. You're doing it part-time.
Yeah, all part-time because it's alongside my full-time training and casual work as well. So
Great.
got to make it all fit in.
What are you doing casually, work-wise?
I work at MSAC, just in the cafe there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I need to get a coffee. After a highly successful 2023, Karstens was recognised as an emerging judo athlete and selected to train at the National Performance Centre in Melbourne. During this period, he achieved multiple gold medals in the under-18 squad and reached an impressive 4th place on the world rankings. He also added silver and bronze medals to his growing list of accomplishments. Unfortunately, in 2024, while training in Japan, Karstens suffered a dislocated shoulder. The injury was significant and required an extensive recovery process. As a result, he was unable to compete for 6 months while he focused on rehabilitation. So the shoulder's obviously going all right now?
Yeah, all good now.
Yep, good.
Back to it.
So he's recently returned to competition and achieved a gold medal in the under-21 or the junior category at the Canberra International Open, as well as a silver medal in the seniors, and that's open age. And he's now been selected to represent Australia in both the Junior and Senior Pan-American Oceania Championships in Lima, Peru, and Santiago, Chile in April. We wish Karstens all the very best for your future sporting pursuits.
Thank you
well
so
done.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Karsten.
Thank you.
We get a photo. Yeah, have something to say.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say a massive thank you for this. as Peter said, I train a lot, working, studying part-time as well, so it's a big load, and any sort of financial support helps because we have to do a lot of travelling. I get a little bit of funding from the Judo Australia, but a lot of it I have to pay for myself, so yeah, anything like this helps me heaps to get overseas because that's what we need to do to get to where I want to be in my sport, so thank you so much.
Well done.
Thanks a lot.
We'll get a photo.
Yeah.
Good on you, well done.
And also world-class sports reporting from Councillor Perkins. It might get picked up by Foxtel off the YouTube. Now we'll move on to confirmation of minutes for the meeting held on Tuesday, the 22nd of April, 2025. Do I have a mover?
Yes.
Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. I move that Council confirms the minutes of the Council meeting held on Tuesday the 29th of April 2025 as per the attachment.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to it?
No thanks.
Councillor Cope?
No.
Okay, we'll we'll vote on the motion. So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to, we don't have a petition, but we do have questions from the gallery. Is Anne-Marie here? No. Read it out. Although National Road Safety Week has passed, could Nillumbik Council confirm its commitment to funding currently unfunded school safety traffic priority program in the 25-26 financial year? This includes considering urgent improvements to the pedestrian safety at the Sunnyside Crescent entrance to the Wattle Glen Primary School. Since early 2025, I've been working with council officers, our local councillor, state and federal MPs on the pedestrian safety concerns of Sunnyside Crescent. There have been several near misses involving children due to lack of necessary pedestrian infrastructure. Actions has been delayed due to funding limitations of the school safety traffic priority program. I understand other schools face similar issues. Will Council prioritise funding of this program and improve the safety of children walking to school? We thank Anne-Marie for the question. Council is the responsible authority for managing this road and recognises the benefit of a crossing at Sunnyside Crescent, entrance of Wattle Glen Primary School. The Traffic and Transport team are currently investigating a raised zebra crossing that could serve both as a school crossing and a wider community crossing. We are prioritising further community consultation to help shape the detailed plan, and it will be used to gain a greater understanding of the project's cost. Once this is complete, we'll actively explore external funding opportunities alongside consideration in Council's future budgets. And we'll send that out to Anne-Marie. And it will appear in the minutes. I will now move on to our first item, which is reports on advisory committee. I have a mover for this motion. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council notes the minutes of the advisory committee meetings reported at attachment 1.
And do I have a seconder for that motion?
Happy second.
Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joy, do you wish to say anything? Councillor Mackay? No? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to officers' reports. The first is a committee report, consideration of submissions, draft budget 2025-2026. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brooker.
I'd like to move the motion as per on the screen. Thank you.
And do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge all of the submitters who spoke to the committee last week. They all presented particularly well. I did, though, wanted to highlight one person, which goes to the budget discussion we're about to have next, and that was Michael Burgess from the Greensborough Hockey Club. Michael pitched the councillors the fact that the lighting at the Greensborough Hockey Club was now needing an upgrade. It was presenting a safety hazard. And I do know that a potential solution is the Local Sports Infrastructure Fund, which gets applications around October of this year. And it's very prescient that in the council budget we're about to discuss, there's $1 million specifically for grant applications that happen to come our way. So we have a need here. There's a fund that is certainly suitable to fulfil that need, and we have a provision in the budget that we have, as I say, presently made allowance for situations such as this. So hopefully we can at least make an application and then trust in the process that follows. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Cope, do you wish to say anything? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to the next item, which is the adoption of the budget 2025-26 and the declaration of rates and charges. Do I have a mover for this item?
I'll move that, Mayor.
Councillor Brooker, and what will you move?
I'll move, the recommendation as per the papers and what the people can see on the screen.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Brooker.
Okay, well this is, for many people, the whole 9 yards. This is the budget for 25-26. This is the first opportunity this council gets to make its thumbprint on our strategy, our directions, and where we're spending our money. I'll be supporting the budget on the grounds that if you agree with around 98% of the expenditure side and with around 99% of the revenue side, then that really is an acceptable outcome, although not one that ticks 100% of your boxes. This is budget one of a 4-year budget cycle that will define the 24-28 council. We, as councillors, get 3 more cracks at the rate cap, for instance, which is always the largest headline out of any local government budget. And for the record, this council has determined that the rate cap be at the state government maximum of 3%. The next largest takeout line for any local government budget is the capital expenditure aspect of it, which in the 25-26 budget is $21 million. Councils in subsequent budgets can choose a lesser number than the rate cap or the rate cap itself. The real question is, what is the right number? I think it's right to say for all councils and all councillors that we want to do more and we want it to cost less. And that is quite a conundrum that you have to get to grips with. I would say I think you do have to front the fact that our rates at Nillumbik are high. There are structural reasons for that. The number of rateable properties barely increases each year, and the demands from residents don't get any less. If you consult the Know Your Council website, you can compare the Nillumbik average rate assessment against other councils, similar councils, and adjoining councils. This does not make for pleasant reading, and certainly no amount of hand-wringing or explanation, justification can escape that. No council in the 27 odd years of Nillumbik has been able to solve the structural inadequacies of a small population base and a very large geographic area. This is why setting the rate cap is tough, and the council is aware of really trying to get value for each line item of expenditure. I will remind councillors my advocacy around the rate cap will continue, and there are still opportunities to make savings, find some alternative revenue sources in subsequent years and deliver what I believe what every resident expects us to do, which is a good budget, a sound budget, a budget based on principles of accountability and sustainability. I wish it was just as easy as saying, just, reduce how much you're spending, decrease the number of services that you're providing. That can be a reaction, but that can also have the opposite of its intended effect. Avoiding maintenance, delaying asset renewal, and in this budget there are many, many millions of dollars in asset renewal, can be a costly approach to delivering a headline of a rate pause or reduction. And I just want to, by way of example, talk about the Windy Mile. So I think you would conclude that the maintenance of that road was postponed so much that the performance of the road and the hazard that it represented was downgraded far below what is an acceptable standard. So what we have to prioritise is smart spending now that will reduce costs in the future and make a return to residents and provide some relief into the future, and trying to find the sweet spot where we can maximise both areas of providing adequate maintenance so we don't have to continually, replenish assets that are downgraded unnecessarily or because they're downgraded too quickly because not enough has been spent. I think the real case for budget reform here is to identify those areas of council operations that possibly have some legacy effects and that are no longer fit for purpose. Those are the areas that you would say, if they do not meet any strategic needs now, they're the ones that you have to eliminate altogether. And that is always the challenge for councils, to identify any of those areas that exist. That's me for 25-26. Thank you. Budget.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins, would you like to say something? Oh, sorry, Councillor Cope. No, sorry. It's Councillor Perkins is seconded, yeah, so we'll go with Councillor Perkins at this point.
Thank you, and thank you for those very wise words, Councillor Brooker. Always a pleasure to listen to you for the full 5 minutes. I think, as Councillor Brooker said, we are applying the 3% increase, and that is the maximum increase under the fair go rate system. And while we have got another 3 years to have a go at the rate cap, I assume Councillor Brooker means we'll have another 3 years to have a go at the state government over the rates cap, because we don't like it. It constrains council far too much. Council's also proposing in this budget a 3.27% increase to domestic waste services, or the domestic waste service standard charge. The capital, just some highlights out of the budget papers. The capital works budget, or the capital works program in the budget is $21.48 million, so $21.5 million, and that includes $5.35 million in grant-funded works. The key projects include the Kangaroo Grand landfill rehabilitation works, Diamond Creek Men's Shed, Yarrambat Football Club change rooms, road and car park renewal, buildings renewal, including public toilets, and drainage works. The budget also forecasts a substantial capital works program of nearly $75 million over the next 5 years. and this is proposed to be funded by combination of grants, contributions and operating revenue. Just some other highlights I think that's worth reading out. Just some of the major initiatives. The first one under the theme Community and Connection, the major initiatives are allocation to support the Youth Hub service in Diamond Creek of $149,000 and also $30,000 to facilitate placemaking across the Shire to support shared outcomes between community and council. Under another theme, theme 2.2, Place and Space, the major initiatives are the Diamond Creek Community Facilities Master Plan of $139,000, which this year should see that Community Facilities Master Plan finished. And, it's a very exciting project. It'll take many years to deliver, no doubt, but it'll certainly give a good solid basis to apply for future grants and improve the community facilities in Diamond Creek for Diamond Creek and surrounds. Also, major initiative under that theme is allocation towards Waddenbrook St Andrews Community Centre Service Agreement. They're getting $30,000. Planning Scheme Amendment for Housing Strategy Enabled Character Study, that's costing $250,000. Significant strategic planning initiatives, $100,000. A School Safety Traffic Priority Program, $125,000. Climate Action Plan of $47,000. And there's also some other major initiatives that I'm sure Councillor Cope would like to detail for us.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Cope.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to add my comments that I'd like to reflect and also echo most of Councillor Brooker's comments. I was going to comment also that we were a bit restricted because previous councils had gone below CPI on their rates, and it's worth noting that that has restricted our ability to do a lot of extra works that we had anticipated along the line. So thank you to Councillor Perkins of an outstanding outlining of our budget and what you want me to comment about is...
I've done the first one, if you do 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Now, Peter's asking me to comment on the Nillumbik Environmental Climate Action Hub at Edendale. This is because it's in our area. Community Environmental Plan, $50,000. Continue to deliver Nillumbik Forest Health Monitoring Program, $50,000. Enhance the promotion and support of friends of groups and opportunities for environmental volunteers, $95,500. Deliver the Nillumbik Gardens for Wildlife Program in partnership with the community volunteers, a very good project there, $24,000. And reassess the vegetation condition of council bushland reserves, which is an important project, $120,000. Thank you, and I'd like to comment on how well the council has been progressing the budget, but we need to probably do a bit more work in the next 3 years. Cheers.
Thanks, Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start off by highlighting my end point, which is that I won't be supporting the budget this evening. And now I'll explain why. During our induction session, following our election to council, we spoke of trust. I declared that I grant every person in this organisation my 100% trust. I do not expect people to earn my trust. I grant it willingly, openly and wholeheartedly. And then I just hope that they don't break it. Unfortunately, in the short 6 months that I have served as councillor, already my trust is being depleted. I'm very disappointed to reach this point and that I have to sit here this evening and say that I do not support this budget. I know that an enormous amount of work has gone into this and there is a lot of good. But despite my best efforts in reading reams of papers and asking questions, I feel I do not have adequate insight to support this. The key problems are an overall lack of clarity and detail in the budget. This was also raised by several submissions received throughout the consultation process. An overall lack of transparency about how finances are managed within the organisation, and the rushing or perhaps even railroading of councillors, especially new councillors, to make significant decisions without opportunity to fully understand the budget. And I would challenge other councillors around this table, whether or not, well, probably with the exception of Councillor Perkins, but whether or not they could actually wholeheartedly say that they understand every aspect of the budget to the degree that they could explain it to someone else. Further, I have a range of questions that remain unanswered by the administration. On this basis, I feel I would not be upholding my values and integrity as an individual and as a councillor if I were to endorse this budget at this stage.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to... Oh, sorry. Yes, as we had a dissenter, right of reply, Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I think, the challenge, that was put forward to explain every part of the budget, that's a high bar, every aspect. I think I'd have a crack at explaining almost every aspect. I can tell you what the rate cap is. I can tell you how much money we raise from rates compared to the total revenues. I can tell you how much our total expenditures are. I can tell you how they're segmented into the 4 areas of council operations and where they're spent. So I think I can have a pretty good grip of where we're spending the $115 million. And I can also tell you we've got a provision in there for $2.1 million for borrowings, $1 million of which will go to the capital projects of the Diamond Creek's men's shed and the Arranbat football change rooms. So from my perspective, I can comfortably say I've got a good handle on I think, the detail of this budget for 25-26. Having said that, I think it's a difficult process. This is 100 times more money than kind of comes through most of our hands in our lifetime, really. So it is significant amounts of money, and I can understand people being cautious about having to be convinced that it is absolutely in the best interests of our 24,000 households, approximately, that we're spending it wisely and prudently and efficiently, and all those things we need to do. That's my, response to the objection. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. We'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you.
Thanks for all the information. That's very interesting to see where all the money goes.
I don't think we've ever had a goodbye before. Someone's leaving. Rather polite.
We'll move on to the 2025 Annual Community Survey results. Do I have a mover?
Yes, thank you. I'll move that.
Councillor Mackay.
Thank you. I move that Council notes the results and findings of the 2025 Annual Community Survey.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Mackay.
Just quickly from me, just to highlight that this was a survey of 502 randomly selected community members, as primarily door-to-door and face-to-face, across the full realm of the Shire and all different denominations, demographics, I should say, of people, and potentially denominations. And I just wanted to highlight the top 5 issues for respondents in Nillumbik are the number 1, roads maintenance and repairs, number 2, bushfire management and prevention, number 3, traffic management, number 4, provision and maintenance of street trees, and number 5, council rates. So obviously these are things that we refer to when considering council plan, budget, etc.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, after 14 years of the survey from Metropolis, the results ebb and flow, but as Councillor Mackay said, the 5 most important areas are barely changed. The same issues, I think, that were in my first year as a councillor: roads / maintenance, repairs, traffic management, rates. 2 of the 3 classic areas, roads and rates. I do note that the highest satisfaction rated service is our waste service, and that is very pleasing for that department and to councillors who can say that at least delivery of one of those key areas of services is at the very highest end of what everyone's satisfaction is with the council. In absolute terms, Nillumbik scores in the good range measurement over 34 different distinct services. So for those data freaks out there, 34 different service areas are all spoken or written about in some kind of detail about the levels of satisfaction. It's a lack of satisfaction, though, on roads that can drag down, I think, the overall Nillumbik satisfaction level this year. You can only speculate, but it's difficult to conclude that the state of the Windy Mile was a contributor to this. During the election campaign, it was the issue most brought up by residents to me and most brought up to my attention through emails and phone calls. I would say I did get around 70% of the vote at that election, but if I could have said I promised to fix the Windy Mile, I would have got 98%. I would have been up in the range of, Fidel Castro and Kim Jong-un if I had have been able to deliver on that promise. So I suspect, what my thesis is that the decline in overall satisfaction that Nillumbik experienced this year, it's highly correlated to, the state of that road and the fact that it was the number 1 item on people's list when they were asked to rate council services. So there's certainly, once you have that happen, and what Metropolis talk about is a direct intersection with leadership and governance of the council. Leadership of the governance of the council is, I think, downgraded because of a glaring issue like that that then reflects on the council. I was asked by residents to arrange a meeting with the CEO so they could pitch to him and explain to him how he should go about contacting the Department of Transport about getting something done about this issue. So the perception is that we have to do better in advocacy in all these things. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Do any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joy.
I just wanted to check if Councillor Brooker realises that the Windy Mile's in Edendale Ward.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Well, part of it's in Edendale. Part of it's in Alice.
Which part would that be?
Let's get back to...
Maybe the Diamond Creek part.
Let's get back to the council meeting. Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes.
Councillor Perkins.
I was just going to say, the community survey results, they don't change a lot over time in real terms, but what does have to change sometimes is council's response to ongoing themes. And certainly there is some good news coming in terms of the cleanliness of our public toilets. I believe in the next few months there's going to be I forget what the term was, but it was like a
change over a contractor?
No, it was more like a rapid response crew, something like that. I can't remember what the term was, but just looking at the satisfaction survey, the heat map, importance and satisfaction with public amenity for Nillumbik Shire Council. Public toilets in Nillumbik was rated, very important, but people aren't very satisfied in that, and our satisfaction falls below the metro average and well below the metro average. So, in terms of the heat map there, that sort of spells it out quite significantly. So, and I was just having a look at my map there for the Winding Mile, and I'll come back to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously.
And just by way of clarification, the Winding Mile is the boundary between Alice and Edendale Ward from the Sawpit Gully roundabout up until Sutherland Road. So certainly it's a shared responsibility, the road reserve.
Thanks very much, Councillor Perkins. We'll move on to the proposed sale of council lands at 311A Yan Yan Road, Plenty. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I'd like to move the officer recommendation that's up on the screen and in our papers. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you. This is the third occasion I have brought this item to the council. This sale of land attracted no community engagement, no submissions to the Planning and Consultation Committee on the 8th of April. As the ward councillor, I have received no emails or phone calls about this proposal. So I do support the recommendation that Nillumbik proceed to sell the reserve with the conditions outlined in the papers, a parcel of 221 metres squared, or to put it in a context most locals could gauge, a little more than half the size of a house block that is currently being constructed in Whittingham Circuit opposite us, but a completely different configuration in that it's rather long and rather narrow. But that's the dimensions. I note the proceeds can only be used to acquire or improve, emphasis on improve, public open space on council land for public purposes. Well, I have some ideas about where that could be spent, and I'll be happy to share those with council officers. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. I'm sure they will look forward to those suggestions. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to say something?
No, thanks.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to the Indara lease proposal for telecommunications infrastructure at Eltham Lower Park. Do I have a mover for this motion?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner?
I move the motion as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. I'd just like to raise that Eltham has been identified as a black spot, and Downer have determined that the Eltham Lower Park is a key location for new infrastructure to enhance telecommunication services. As this lease proposal involves new telecommunications infrastructure on public land, it is appropriate for council to engage with its community on the matter, and this community consultation will happen between the 30th of May and the 22nd of June. So council will then consider any public submissions received on the matter at a Planning and Consultation Committee meeting, which is proposed to be on the 12th of August this year. Thank you. So just highlighting that for anybody that wants to put in any submissions. Thanks.
We'll look forward to people engaging in the public consultation. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, certainly this is one, I could be wrong, but over the years I've been on council and for long before that, I've always seen Eltham as a community that are very engaged and certainly want to have a say about what goes on in their area. And certainly Eltham Lower Park is a very prized and special park to, certainly everyone in Eltham and beyond. So, telecommunications tower in there was an option put to councillors that we could potentially go straight to the planning phase. But I thought, consistent with other things that council have done in Eltham and other places, be that Fabro's Fields or you name it, we're looking at leasing land to another body, a third party. We have to get community input into that. So I'll sit back and I'll watch with interest whether or not it's broadly supported, whether there's concerns raised and those concerns might be appeased, through some substantial, through some changes and the tower goes ahead or perhaps the tower's not supported. But I just thought it's very well worthwhile for this to go out to consultation as a proposal to lease the land to start with, and then there's the planning matter after that. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Perkins, and the people of Eltham are always acknowledge that you look after our best interests.
Not all of them.
Do any other councillors wish to speak? So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the Council Quarterly Performance Report, 24-25, Quarter 3. Do I have a mover for this motion? Councillor Brooker.
I'd like to move the motion up on the screen and as per the papers, please.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker.
This is a quarterly update on the council plan that will soon in the matter of months, I guess, be superseded by our own council plan. So this, I guess, is an important report in terms of reporting on the 20 to 24, or I think it's 21 to 25 council plan of the previous council. One area that absolutely needs to be recognised, the Nillumbik Customer First Strategy. Here, Nillumbik Council has ranked first overall in the Customer Service Benchmarking Australia Telephone Mystery Shopping Program. Now, that is first in the sector of local governments of, I think, 50 or 60 are members of this program in Victoria and New South Wales. I recall in my first term of council, 2016 to 18, getting this first place for the first time around 2017, 2018, as I recall. Now, getting first once is, I think, quite an achievement. Staying first for now 7 or 8 years is, well, I think it's getting close to the Hall of Fame. And I don't mean that in a sort of joking way, actually. It's a stunning kind of performance when you think about it for the customer service team, to be first in their sector for that long. So I think that is an acknowledgement of the culture of trying to do things well, of trying to be responsive to residents and providing the customer service that we really, as councillors, need to aspire to. I think the benchmark is there. That is the standard that we need to seek, to be the first of all councils. And it's a formidable task, I would say that. But congratulations to that team. I think I ought to acknowledge Craig King, who is, the customer service manager at council, who has, it has to be said, imbued a culture in that department of wanting to be good, of wanting to do well, of wanting to respond appropriately to our resident concerns. And also, I think the CEO, here's a time too for some acknowledgement of that person who overall, I think, is in charge of the culture and the standards of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Cope.
Look, I'd like to reflect Councillor Brooker's sentiment there, and like to also recommend and hope that the council will continue its number one position and continue into the future, especially during our term of office. Cheers.
Thank you, Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the BMX dirt jumps and community recreation park project. Do I have a Councillor Joy?
Thank you, Mayor. This one is absolutely in Edendale Ward. I'll allow Councillor Perkins to check the map again if he needs to. I would like to move that Council endorses Challenger Street Reserve as the new site selection for the BMX dirt jumps and community recreation park project.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. The BMX dirt jumps project was originally planned for 145 Allendale Road in Diamond Creek. Unfortunately, due to cultural heritage requirements and flood impacts, the project cannot proceed at this location. So the new site has been identified at Challenger Street Reserve. Council had previously committed $650,000 in the 22-23 financial year to fund the new BMX dirt jumps, and the Growing Suburbs Fund had committed over $2 million for the community and recreation park and infrastructure surrounding the BMX dirt jumps. Execution of the funding agreement was back in 2022, with construction expected to be completed in May 26. So we need to get our skates on, and I'm glad that it's progressing. But the funding body is aware of the delay that we've encountered with the project to date. Our cultural heritage consultants have confirmed that the mandatory cultural heritage management plan would not be triggered at this new site, and it's also located above the floodplain of Diamond Creek, so no approval from Melbourne Water would be required. Full public consultation will again be required as it's a new location and there are residential properties overlooking the new site. So following endorsement this evening, presuming it is endorsed, the next steps will be to engage with the community and stakeholders on the new location, and then finally proceed with design and construction at the new location. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Joy. Councillor Perkins.
Yes, I'm very happy to support the motion and see this project continue on. So, significant amounts of money have been put aside for this project. First the council came up with $650,000 to build new jumps. That was quite some time ago. And subsequent to that, we received some GSF funding of $2.1 million. So not only should we be seeing, hopefully, jumps appear on that site, we'll also see disability compliant toilets, amenities and pathways around them. We'll see seating, a bicycle track and learn to ride track, car parking, landscaping and safety lighting. So Challenger Street Reserve, if people in Diamond Creek, Alice and Edendale Ward know Challenger Street, that's in Alice Ward, and you go to the Diamond Creek Men's Shed, well, that's Challenger Street. Opposite the Diamond Creek Men's Shed, there's a driveway that heads south, and that goes into Challenger Street Reserve. And really, if you looked on Vic Map and you saw the overlays, the land significant LSIO or land significant inundation overlay, you can pretty well see where the jumps have to be. The area that's not subject to the LSIO, it's sort of probably I would describe as east of the property there, the house that the Shire of Nillumbik owns, but not far east. I think you would have to access it via the driveway that heads to that house. There's obviously a lot of details that are yet to be confirmed, and there'll be public consultation, but we need to crack on and get this project up and going, because it will certainly complement the trail fantastically. Having some toilets at that location close to the trail, as well as some other fantastic infrastructure. Some car parking. I'll suggest the car parking might be best suited closer to the, or most of the car parking best suited to the, closer to the Diamond Creek men's shed, and then, the majority of people can walk to the jumps or indeed ride their bike. Having a car park not immediately proximate to a facility has not been a detriment at all to the Diamond Creek Regional Playground and the tram there. So it certainly does help to create a more informal atmosphere, enjoying our open spaces where we're not turning green spaces necessarily into a car park. Remove the car parks from that area and allow people the freedom and the ability and encouragement to walk or ride. So, certainly looking forward to it, and hope Council supports this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the proposal to rename a section of Duffs Road, Panton Hill, to Welton View. Do I have a mover?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner.
I would like to move the motion as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. How wonderful to see that the public overwhelmingly supported the renaming of the section of Duffs Road to Welton View. This proposal arose primarily due to public safety concerns with a hint of community pride. Duffs Road splits into two separate sections without any connecting access, often resulting in vehicles getting bogged and requiring tow trucks to assist them. I commend Sarah Evans, the local resident who has advocated for this road name change, not only for its practical benefits, but also for suggesting the name Welton View as a tribute to the Welton family. The Welton family played a significant role in the development and settlement of Panton Hill and has been an important part of the town's history. It hasn't been easy for Sarah to initiate this change. She has dedicated a considerable amount of time in discussions with Geographic Names of Victoria to ensure the name is changed correctly to Welton View. I also appreciate the support of council officers in making this possible. Thank you, Sarah, for all your efforts in making this change a reality.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak? In that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the endorsement of the new Youth Council 2025 to 2027. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I will move that motion.
Councillor Mackay.
I will move it as per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yes.
Councillor Joyner. Councillor Mackay.
Yes, I'm just wanted to make comment on the value of our current youth council. It's an absolute pleasure to be the councillor on that council, which is chaired by a youth mayor and deputy mayor. And I just wanted to outline that it acts as a formal advisory committee to this council so that we know what's happening and what's important with younger people. So it consists of 15 people up to 15 people between the age of 15 to 25 who are passionate about their community and views and the needs of young people. And in the selection criteria, we do our absolute best to capture a diverse and varied group of youth living in, but not limited to, rural Nillumbik and also the activity centres, youth of the rainbow community and gender diverse, aspire to have members of the First Nations, people with disability, chronic or mental illness, carers, and people experience or have had previous experience of financial insecurity, as well as culturally and linguistically diverse. So a very valuable group of young people. And I thank them for their upcoming service to informing us to make decisions on their behalf.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joyner.
Thanks. I'd just like to thank the previous Youth Council, particularly the Mayor, Oriana, who was a wonderful addition. And I hope she got as much out of her experience on the Youth Council as we valued her time on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. You do a fantastic job. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. I'd ask Councillor Mackay just to read out the names of the new Youth Council.
So congratulations and thank you to Aishini Rastogi. And I'll just firstly apologise for any sort of... I haven't practiced these. Alexandra Laidlaw, Anne Gartland, Anushka Gupta, Eleanor Risley, Gianna Andrioli, Jessica Brown, Chris Vanderkamp, Lucas Fox, Rose Jarvis, Samuel Lochner, Sonia Radchenko, Soren Keane and Talia Edmonds for their role as a Youth Council Advisory Committee, and I look forward to meeting you next meeting.
Yeah, we congratulate them all on their appointment and look forward to working with them. We'll now move on to the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee, endorsement of new membership. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Yes, I move that Council endorses the 14 recommended applicants listed for appointment at the 2025-27 PAAC as a PAAC member. Acknowledges and thanks all community members and service providers who submitted an expression of interest to the PAC. Resolves that the panel recommendation and scoring as per attachment 2 remain confidential on the grounds specified in the definition of confidential information, section 3(1)(f of Local Government Act 2020, and resolves that successful applicants be named.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, so the good news is that there were 14 positions available, 14 nominations were received, assessed and shortlisted against the selection criteria by the assessment panel, and 14 were successful. So it's a great outcome. I hate seeing seats go vacant on any advisory committee. If there's people who do it totally voluntarily, put their hand up. You know, they're scored and the scoring is weighted against each other. But at the end of the day, if we can get a full committee, that's better than having gaps in a committee. So the 14 applicants were successful. Unfortunately, there were some members who of the current committee or the current committee's had its last meeting, but the most recent committee, there's some members that would have liked to have stayed on, but they'd already served their 4 years, as is the maximum in the terms of reference. So, look, there's certainly some new blood coming in, and I look forward to working with the 14 new members. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I think although everybody in this room is aware of this, this is a slight change in the composition of the committee from when I served on that committee on my council term, 2016-2020. And that is you have 10 community members, but we now also have 4 members of the committee who are representatives of local aged care service providers, or there are community organisations that are providing services for older people in Nillumbik. So you have, I guess, some sector experts and some community members, and I think that seems to me as though that's going to be a good balance. So I will, look forward to seeing the kind of outcomes that come from the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on
And I'll
to...
read out the names.
Oh, sorry.
just to read out the names of the successful applicants on the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee: Alexander Price, Tasman Guerra, Natalie Francis, Tanya Cottrell, Anne Hutchison, Tom Fisher, Kathleen Pools, Steve Jenkinson, Marlwood Ryder, Julie Chasm, Marcel Saxone, Sophie Broham, Stella Hewitt and Jackie Sweeney. Congratulations, and look forward to working with you all.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Now we'll move on to the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee, endorsement of new membership. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, 9 community members. I'll move this motion as per the papers.
Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins.
Yes, similar result. Nine applicants, 9 successful. I think it's 9. Oh no, not 9. There's more than 9 applicants. Sorry, but certainly following the rigorous process undertaken by officers in the selection panel after answering multiple questions, 9 applicants have been shortlisted and recommended to council. So council is aware of those applications. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Brooker.
Just to say, it's the same formula as the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee. We've got community members and 4 specialists, service providers in this disability space that will be adding their expertise to the committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously.
And I'll read out the names.
Councillor Perkins, could you please read out the names?
And the successful applicants are Michelle Molinaro. Congratulations, Michelle. Michelle's from Diamond Creek. Linda Kelly. Jane McAleer. Gina Lloyd-Thomas. Sylvana Skibilia, I think. Naomi Bishop. Richard Kotek. Jennifer Johnson. Kirsten Bate. From the organisations, disability organisation representatives, St John of God Accord, Courtney Walsh, Ara Lewin, Brandy Rutherford, Yarra Plenty Regional Library, Chantel Blittenhall, Brotherhood of St Lawrence, Aaron Williams, and one community group, which is Different Journeys, Sean Cumming or Mel Spencer. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. We'll now move on to the endorsement of the Recreation Trails Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
I move the motion that endorses the 11 recommended applicants listed for appointment to the 2025-2027 RTEC as detailed in the EOI evaluation as per attachment 1.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner.
Yes, I propose to amend this motion as the terms of reference allows for 12 community representatives to sit on this committee. We have a wonderful community full of smart, keen and active volunteers, as we saw last Thursday night at the Volunteer Appreciation Evening. We value all community input, and if the committee allows for 12 representatives to sit on it, I'd like to support all applicants that we've received to be appointed. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Perkins, do you wish to speak?
Look, I'm just a bit confused. Are we? Is it 11 or 12? I've only got 11 in front of me.
11.
I can clarify because I've looked at this in detail, if I may, Mayor.
Sorry, do you need clarification, Councillor Perkins?
I just, Councillor Joyner was talking about 12 people, but the...
12 community representatives are allowed on the committee. we
But
have
only 11.
11 applicants.
Okay, yep. So, yep, thanks for that. Yep, very happy to support that. It looks like, from what I can work out, everybody who has applied has been deemed successful, which I certainly support. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joy?
Thank you, Mayor. It definitely looks like there has been a bit of confusion because the original papers recommended 9 applicants be appointed. That has been changed to 11, which are all of the applicants, even though there are 12 positions. I, as chair, similar to my disappointment with the budget process, have some concerns with the process for the appointment of members to the Recreation Trails Advisory Committee. So I note that tonight there are 5 items for advisory committees on the agenda, 4 of which are being asked to endorse the appointment of new members and 1 to commence the EOI process. It's my observation that the process for each committee differs, for no other apparent reason that it's managed by different teams across the organisation. There is a lack of consistency in how members are determined to be successful or not, a pass or fail, if you will. I believe this creates an inequity across the committees. This is the only assessment where positions on the committee remained vacant because applicants, volunteers no less, have failed on their assessment. Now, as we've just muddled through in our confusion, that has been amended at the last moment, so I'm thankful for that. However, the process also does not provide for consideration of past conduct when assessing applications for membership. I'm aware of alleged code of conduct complaints that have essentially been ignored through the EOI process due to the governance of one process conflicting with the governance of another process. I'm all for good governance, but this is an example of bureaucracy at its worst, and it does not pass the pub test. The administration need to do better to ensure equity across the committees and the safety and well-being of those who volunteer in good faith. In summary, due to unfair, inconsistent assessment processes and the inability to consider past conduct, I'm unable to endorse this motion this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Joy. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor McKay?
Just a question through the chair. I did want to give the opportunity for governance to comment if they should like. Do that. The misconduct? The alleged misconduct? No?
Is governance aware of any misconduct?
Through the chair, it would be inappropriate to actually comment on a matter that hasn't actually had full course of any conduct, disciplinary matters. I think it would be inappropriate for this council to actually consider that in any given form through this process.
Thanks, our governance officer. The Councillor Joyner, do you wish to have your right of reply? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Those against? Carried.
And I'll just name the successful applicants: Andrew Chow, Kathy Giles, Andrew Bakos, Serena Marriott, Bill Penrose, Mark Hood, Andrew McMahon, Louise Barry, Graham Jackson, Daryl Snowden, Julie Smith, Seema.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. We'll now move on to the expressions of interest process for the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cope.
Yes, I'd like to recommend that the council endorses the terms and references in this attachment and approves the commencement of the expressions of interest from 30th of May to 20th of June 25.
Thank you, Councillor Cope. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Mackay. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak? Councillor Mackay, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak to the item? Okay, in that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the tender report for contract 2425-002, bulk fuels and fuel cards via the Procurement Australia Agency arrangement. Councillor Brooker would like to move.
Yeah, I'd like to move the motion as per the council papers and what you can read up on the screen.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, look, this tender was conducted by Procurement Australia rather than by the Nillumbik Procurement Department, which generally we get reports in relation to tenders from. I just want to make the point, dot point 28 is using past usage as a guideline, and the change moving to single branded cards with the preferred tenderer represents an annual saving of $8,000. That's $8,000 compared to business as usual. Because the report highlights it, I just wanted to make public, I think, the fact that the weightings of price via capability, capacity to deliver as per the tender specifications was judged 70% capability, capacity and 30% price, which I thought was a curious mix given you're dealing with about as homogenous a product as you can possibly imagine in terms of fuel, so why it should be weighted that way. And I want to thank Nillumbik's Chief Operating Officer now, Claire Quinlan, who I raised a couple of questions with and who's got some details back for me. I referred to that as the upgrade in the Chief Operating Officer, I think. But what this is saying is we've got a really a 9 cents a litre in bulk fuel discount from Ampol and a 4 cents per litre discount on fuel cards. So that puts us in a better position than what we would otherwise have been. And it's certainly when you're using the resources of a central organisation like Procurement Australia, you're hoping that they are able to gouge out the very best possible procurement deal for the council and a better procurement deal than you could do yourselves. So that is where we have landed, and I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak on the matter? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Brooker, would you like to read out the...
Yes, I would, thank you. The council resolution is to accept the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer, Ampol Australia Petroleum Proprietary Limited, as per the schedule of rates disclosed in attachment 1. So the rest of it is, well, it's the term of the... Do I have to read the whole thing now? No. Okay, well, the term, just to say, is from April 25 to March 27, with an extension that can be up to the 31st of March 2029. So that's our bulk fuels and fuel cards taken care of, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. We'll now move on to tender report for contract 2425-010, Eltham North Reserve Car Park Extension construction. Do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Joyner?
Yes, I'd like to move the motion as per the papers, thanks.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Cope. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thanks. I'd just like to say this project is for the extension of the existing car park located at Eltham North Reserve. The works include civil construction works and the installation of public lighting, which I'll be happy to see completed, as driving past on weekends you'll often find cars parked all over the place, so hopefully this gives them a place to park instead of all over the nature strips and wherever they can find a park. I'd like to point out that Council will be using 100% recycled plastic pipes for this project for the stormwater drainage requirements, and recycled plastic bollards and environmentally friendly concrete and asphalt products will be used in the project also. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak to the matter? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, all of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to our favourite thing at the moment. There seems to be a lot of movement. Sorry. Councillor Joyner, would you please read out the winner of the tender?
Sure, that Council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer, MJ Construction Group, Pty Ltd, for the sum of $555,211 plus $83,281.65 for the contingency as disclosed in attachment 1, and enter into the following contract number 2425-010 Eltham North Reserve Car Park Extension construction from the 29th of May 2025 to the 28th of November 2025, and authorises the Chief Operating Officer to finalise and execute the contract documentation.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. Now we'll move on to the instruments of appointment and authorisation under the Planning Environment Act 1987. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I will move.
Councillor Mackay.
Again, I will move the ever-evolving instrument that Council, in the exercise of the powers used as conferred by S147 number 4 of the Planning and Environment Act, and resolve following points 1, 2, 3. Again, as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay.
Thank you.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Brooker? Councillor Mackay?
I will refrain.
Councillor Brooker, do you wish to speak to the motion? All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the informal meetings of councillors. The records for the 27th of May 2025. Do I have a mover for Councillor Mackay?
Thank you. I will move that Council, in accordance with item 20 of Council's governance rules, Meetings and procedures receive the informal meetings of council records as per attachment 1 for the meetings held.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Cope. Councillor McKay, do you wish to speak to the meetings?
No, thank you.
Councillor Cope, do you wish to... Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have no notices of motions. We have no delegates' reports. Supplementary and urgent business. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I will move that.
Councillor McKay.
Yes, I move that council, in accordance to clause 57 of the governance rules meeting procedure, admit an item of urgent business relating to the emergency services and volunteer fund levy.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Joyner. Councillor McKay, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I just realised, no. Can I speak later after somebody else speaks? Yes, I'll refrain for now.
No. This
Oh,
is
sorry.
just to admit it.
No, I don't want to speak to the motion.
Yes. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to the motion? This is to admit.
No,
Yes. Anyone else wish to speak to it? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. We now can admit an urgent item. So we'll just pass that out to the gallery so they can be aware of what's going on. And would anyone like to make a motion? Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I would like to move the motion, supplementary and urgent business, emergency services and volunteer fund levy, and the recommendation as per the papers that have just been circulated and that are up on the screen.
just for the sake of, maybe it's best to actually say this one, it's not an actual...
Just on the advice of governments, it's probably best to read this one out
I
as
will.
it is not in the
Okay.
printed agenda.
Thank you. So to read out the motion in full, okay. Notes the introduction of the Emergency Services Levy ESVF by the Victorian Government, which significantly expands the scope and structure of the former Fire Services Property Levy. 2. Expresses its strong concern about the impact of the ESVF on the local government sector, in particular, A, the shift in administrative and financial burden onto councils to act as levy collectors on behalf of the state government. B, the potential for inequitable impacts on rural communities and primary producers within the Shire. C, the departure from the original intent of the Fire Services Property Levy as recommended by the 2009 Victorian Bushfires Royal Commission. 3, resolves to write to the Premier of Victoria, the Treasurer, the Minister of Emergency Services and the Minister for Emergency Management to A, reaffirm Council's opposition to Council's being the collection agent for the state government under the ESVF. B, call for the State Revenue Office to take responsibility for collecting the principal place of resident component of the ESVF. C, requests that the Victorian Government fully reimburse councils for the costs associated with the collection, reporting and debt recovery functions of the levy. D, request that the Victorian Government improve transparency and undertake the community engagement directly with communities regarding the ESVF's implementation and operation. E, request that the structure of the ESVF be reviewed to ensure it is equitable and does not disproportionately burden rural communities or primary producers. F, request that the rationale for broadening the scope of the levy beyond fire services to fund agencies such as 000, Victoria State Emergency Services, State Control Centre, Forest Fire Management Victoria, and Emergency Recovery Victoria be publicly explained and reconsidered in the context of the Royal Commission's original intent.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, I will second that.
Councillor McKay. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I want my comments on this matter to be directed towards the new ESVF itself rather than the government. My criticism is directed towards this policy, and so to compartmentalise the comments as regards this policy. And just to be clear, in 2026, if there is a change of government in Victoria, I will be moving a notice of motion to have this levy repealed because it is a massive overreach from the state government. Look, the report describes it very well, but this levy, you should really win the Harry Houdini Award with this levy. This is an award for the master of misdirection. Look over there, we're properly resourcing our emergency services. You actually won't notice the fact because we'll be adding it to your rates notice. It is just too clever by half. I suspect, and this is the real problem, most Victorians won't distinguish the new levy in their rates bill. They will just see a larger increase on their rates bill than what we have passed and already debated about this evening, and roll their eyes and say the council is just finding new ways to gouge us out of some dollars. So this levy has an impact of, in terms of residential properties, a 41% increase for residential properties in Nillumbik based on median house prices, a 63% increase for commercial property, 46% increase for industrial property, and a 92% increase for primary producers, read farmers, to the fire services levy that they are currently paying. That will raise an additional $765 million for the state government. It is just a massive expansion to fund the emergency services that we have identified that have always traditionally been funded by government revenues. Expanding the levy to fund these services is just a massive scope creep and overreach, as I've said. It's actually using property owners, as an ATM for emergency services via rate notices. That is what is happening. This is cost shifting dressed up as reform. That is what it is. And it's putting essential services being offloaded from the state government to council via rate notices. Nillumbik will be used to collect a tax they didn't set, they don't control, and they don't influence at all. This is very bad policy where the implementation is being shifted to local government. This is actually a rebranding of this levy. We're rebranding it from the fire services levy to the and wrapping it up in emergency services language. That is what is happening with this levy. I can't imagine how any local government can really countenance or support this approach. It is a massive impost onto Nillumbik and to all local government. The infrastructure exists. If you were going to do it, use the State Revenue Office to do it. They have the resources. They send me a land tax bill. They can administer this tax, but that has not been the chosen mechanism. What has been the chosen mechanism is to use local government to collect the levy. And it is an absolute case of misdirection. It is an absolute case of trying to camouflage your intent by spinning out what you're wanting to do to local government. And it is just, it's one of the I don't want to overstate it, but it seems one of the most egregious things that it has come across my desk on this council to observe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Mackay.
My question is, why are Nillumbik residents, along with other Victorians, farmers and primary producers, paying for this? Who should be paying for the results of global warming in a climate crisis? Santos, Woodside, Impex, these multinational gas cartels companies, pay no royalties, next to no petroleum resource tax and minimal corporate tax. Japanese company Impex has paid no corporate tax on $21 billion in Australian gas exports over the last 10 years. Last year, Impex on-sold two-thirds of its Australian gas for profit to Korea and Taiwan. That should be our profit. That is how we should be paying for this, not the residents of Nillumbik and people working hard. And then when we're running low on gas reserves, they sell it back to us for profit. It's the beginnings of late-stage capitalism where we suffer, not these multinational gas companies. It's absolutely wild that we're looking for finances from everyday people who are working hard, who already pay tax, who already pay high shire rates, and we continue not to look at the cause of what is causing this climate emergency. Charging tax to these companies would not halt the climate crisis, but at the very minimum would be funding a fair share of paying for it. Not to mention the terrible optics of the council collecting this tax. We get enough criticism without asking to collect on behalf of another level of government. An average increase of $90 to residential properties and an average increase of $635 for primary production. A seemingly unfair distribution of this tax. A cost of living crisis, a climate crisis and increasing financial stress. I'll just make note as well that when the volunteers that this levy is benefiting are marching against this, it also doesn't pass the pub test. That's me.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Perkins.
Yes, certainly. I won't be as outraged perhaps as Councillor Brooker, but I'll say a few words. The rot set in some time ago. You know, the Fire Service levy, as a result of the 2009 Bushfires Royal Commission. I was on council when the Fire Service levy came in. I'm guessing it was around 2015. Guessing it was 2015 or thereabouts. That's where things changed terribly in terms of council becoming the tax collector for the state government, because we hadn't really done it up until that point. Up until that point, insurance companies funded the fire services. Insurance companies funded 75% of the MFB budget and 77.5% of the CFA budget. So 75% of the MFB budget. The other 25%, 12.5% came from the state government, 12.5% came from local government. For CFA, of which and Nillumbik was and still is 100. Well, it was then 100% CFA. It was only 12.5% from the state government. So the state government were contributing minor amounts to the running of the fire services. Most of the money was collected from or by insurance companies. The argument at the time through the Bushfires Royal Commission, well, not everyone pays insurance, so there was an unfair burden on those who were paying insurance. So you should come up with a system that taxes everybody, whether they've got insurance or not. So that's when the state government came up with the UBIT idea to use council as the tax collector, because it could be tied to the rates, and council had the evaluations and had all that data. So it was going to be a much easier system for the state government to get council to do it, and council have done that ever since. Now, did the insurance premiums come down? I dare say not. You know, so what actually happened was the insurance companies got off the hook for funding fire services, and the ratepayers were very much put on the hook. So, in the time since, people haven't been too outraged. They seem to have got used to it and just blame council. It certainly works for the state government. Rates go up every year. The fire services levy goes up much higher than the rate cap. There's no capping on the fire service levy, as there'll be no capping on this new levy that is much bigger and funds a lot more of state government essential services, departments of the state government, if you will. So, it's not pretty. I don't think it's a smart move. I don't think it's a good move. I'm disappointed that the Greens and other recalcitrant crossbenchers supported the government on this, because it would have been good to see it go down, in my view. But the Labor Party, of course, has a hand in it, which Councillor McKay has expressed to me on numerous occasions. But we always look for someone to blame, don't we? And the Greens are it. So anyway, I support the motion, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. I'd just like to add to the outrage of this fund on behalf of my ward, Bunjil World, as the burden on rural communities or primary producers is going to be completely unfair. Councillor Demerick and I were both recently at the MAV State Council, where all councils were highly disappointed in the state government for putting on them the collection of this fund. So I'd just like to add my outrage. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. That's a very reserved outrage. Very measured, yes. I think that's probably the word. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we will take a vote. Being no other councillors wish to speak, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have no confidential reports, so we're up to closure of the meeting, which is closed at 8:49 and 27 seconds. Thank you, everybody.